Mouth breather. If there's one concept I hate, it's the power of positive thinking. It's a very popular concept in America for the simple reason that America is the get-rich-quick scheme of nations. Its entire foundation from day one has been on the idea that if you just believe hard enough and work hard enough, you can follow your dreams and achieve your ideals. And that promise has always been the snake oil that people have sold in order to enrich themselves at the expense of the gullible. It is a nation entirely founded on cultivating hope and then betraying the trust of those that you cultivated the hope in. I look around at the world that we live in, and I see nothing but deceivers everywhere. It doesn't help that this is election season, so two of the most skillful liars in the country are bombarding us with propaganda to try and convince us to give them the chance to either, in one case, continue screwing over the American population by selling them a bill of goods that they want to believe is accurate, and in the other case there's one that hasn't had that job yet and is hoping to bamboozle us into giving it to him. By the time I actually get around to uploading this, presumably that contest will have been decided. I don't have much hope for our future in either case. So the people in this country just cannot accept reality. They just have to believe in these false ideals, these lies that are constantly being spun by skillful storytellers and shoved down our throat until we choke on them. Everybody wants to believe, and a con artist loves nothing more than someone who wants to believe in their con. And of all of the gimmicks that are constantly being peddled in this country, the ultimate giant glowing neon sign of that false hope is Hollywood, closely followed, of course, by Las Vegas and similar places. But no one does it on the scale that Hollywood does. The bright lights of Tinseltown are the lure dangling above the maw of a gigantic anglerfish seeking to devour everything that comes within its gravitational pull. And the anglerfish is a good metaphor for all of this because an anglerfish survives in the deepest, darkest, coldest depths of the ocean where the light of the sun never reaches, where nothing can grow and live, and the only organic anything that exists is just a giant spiraling cycle of scavengers and predators. Pretty much everything, just the base of their food chain instead of plants is like the most effective bottom feeders that can survive off of the silt and muck that showers down from above, and very little of it makes it down that far. And so almost every creature that lives down there is an arch predator, just having to be able to eat literally anything that comes near it because there's almost nothing down there. And so the ancestors of the anglerfish and similar creatures of the depths presumably emigrated down there to those inhospitable environments because they were effectively chased out of everywhere else. They lived further up in the ocean where there was a more fertile ecosystem. If you're high up in the ocean, there's plankton and kelp and all sorts of plants that survive off of the amount of sunlight that can get through the upper layers of the ocean. And then the deeper you go, the less of that there is, until you get way down deep and there are no sources of new energy coming in other than life forms that you can devour. And so the only way you would ever emigrate from the middle layers of the ocean down into those deepest depths is basically if you just couldn't hack the competition and were insistent on seeking out new opportunities instead of just accepting that your species couldn't survive. You would move to a more inhospitable place and become more hideous, ruthlessly predatory creature in order to survive. We see this same process happening in humans all the time, where you have nice, peaceful people living in a fertile valley somewhere, and then the social rejects who can't function within that society go out to the desert and start waylaying travelers and doing anything they can in order to survive and becoming horrible, awful, abusive, criminal-type people, just so that they can survive in an inhospitable environment, when the alternative was to not move into that inhospitable environment and just accept that you weren't going to survive, accept that your little fertile valley was at population cap and it just couldn't handle having any more people. So because the people that live there are too soft-hearted to kill their excess children who they have no way of feeding, instead they would send those children out to the desert, and those children would grow up as desert raiders, preying on the weak. It happens in nature, it happens in society. All of these cases where someone is not willing to accept a harsh reality, and so they invent a fantasy, they invent an impossible dream to believe in that feels really good but is ultimately unsustainable, and then they trick other people into believing that. And like I was saying, Hollywood is the ultimate anglerfish in that regard, and it lures people in and tricks them into believing its lies so that they can be devoured slowly or quickly, depending on whether they have anything to offer in exchange for their souls, as it were. But and I say this as someone who has drunk that Kool-Aid a lot more than he would like to have. I believe in those dreams too, but I'm starting to realize what a colossal mistake it is to believe any of that crap. Like if you watch a lot of television or movies, as I have done, you get reinforced over and over again, not just with the obvious lessons about how love conquers all and whatnot. You know, the bad guys are going to get theirs in the long run. You know, all of those really obvious lessons that are clearly bullshit, and most of us are smart enough to understand that real life isn't like that. But there are subtle things too. There are all sorts of things that you don't pick up on that just feel like ordinary daily life. Too much of your picture of the world that you live in comes from just absorbing the background details of TV shows and being like, here's a scene where the characters are eating in a diner and a waitress comes and brings them their order. I guess that's how diners work, and most of the diners that you go to in real life will reinforce that idea and make it seem realistic. But how many of them are doing it that way because they saw it on TV first, and they kind of the person who decided they were going to get a job as a waitress at a diner modeled the way that she was going to behave based on what she had seen of waitresses in diners on TV. It's the anglerfish has been feeding for a really long time and has really programmed us well to seek out that light and to not be scared of moving closer to that light, so that, you know, it's the creature ends up having more food than it can eat, and so it just selectively devours a handful of the tastier looking morsels and lets the rest go, so that they can spread the word of come check out the anglerfish, it's the next great big thing, and there's nothing to worry about. You know, just believe your dream and you can become the next success story, and for every success there are 50 failures and we never hear about any of them. So America is run by the rich. It's well known, and a lot of those ads that I was talking about of one of the candidates, I'm gonna let you guess which one based on who it is that is more likely to buy advertising on TV, which party has been in bed with the media for decades. But anyway, so a lot of those are talking about how we're going to do more for working families. It sounds like a great idea, and I know there are a lot of people who want to believe that idea, and like I said, this is probably not going to go up until after the election, so I'm not going to influence anybody with this, but I think it's really sickening to tell people exactly what they want to hear. If you are in a working family, then you want to hear that working families are the solution to all of America's problems. Bottom line is that's probably not true. Like, when you're in a situation where the 50 richest people in America have like as much. I heard this stat before, and I'm assuming it's more or less true at least. Something like the 50 richest people in America have as much money as the bottom half of the entire population put together. So, 150, 200 million poor people equals 50 rich people. How can you hear a thing like that and believe that there's any justice in our society whatsoever? That when there's that much money and that much power concentrated in the hands of just a handful of guys, 50 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, it doesn't matter. If you have if the human nature on an individual basis is very strongly tends towards the corrupt. It's possible for people to be kind and generous, but the more that you live in an ivory tower or a bubble reality made up of nothing but well-paid sycophants who are attracted to your wealth and trying to vampirize off of you, that takes a toll on your sanity really quickly, and you have to be a fairly dickish person to get to those heights unless you just luckily were born it. And once you are in that echo chamber reality, it's very easy to become kind of programmed to believe that you're just an inherently better person and everybody else is just there to serve you. So I kind of forget where I was going with this. You want to believe, if you're in a working family, you want to believe that America is built on the backs of working families, but I promise you that's not true. If you ever want to know whether you really live in a democracy or not, try to get a law passed that will make every billionaire in the country, everybody who has $1 billion to their name, try to get each of them to pay an extra $10,000 a year. That's not even very much money by their standards, but just on principle, just because they want to show you who's boss, they will spend $20 million completely crushing that initiative. And if there's any chance that you're actually going to manage to ram that measure through the halls of power, they're just going to hire a contract killer to take you out or something. They can do anything with the amount of money they have, because remember, $1 billion is not $1 billion is not 5 or 10 times $1 million. It is every one of your $1 billion, your $1 billion is 1,000 millions. So all of the buying power of $1 million, you have 1,000 of that. You can throw $5 million away as easily as a normal person throws $5 away. You will never need all of your money, no matter how lavishly you live. You can never spend all of that on normal things, but you gain access to so many additional categories of things that you can do, including using your money to make money. That's really the only way to do a good job of making a lot of money in this country, is to already have a lot of money, or to have a buddy who has a lot of money, and buy investment properties and various wheels and deals. The get-rich-quick schemes that this country was founded on, a few of them do work, but they only work for a tiny handful of people, and usually it's only because they can afford to pay pay $50 million up front for the chance to earn $200 million. That's how it actually works. That's how you actually get rich quick in this country. So, no, working families are not what's going to solve anything. That's basically what I'm saying with this. The anglerfish will feed whether you like it or not. Just the best thing that you can do is just try to keep your mind in focus. Try not to believe in the lie. You're probably going to die anyway, but at least you can die without false hope. I think that's worth more than anything else you can hope for.